As of right now, I think that Turbo is a much better pick for me instead of PEPE. And I've stopped buying PEPE and I'm continuing to buy Turbo. And the reason why is because I believe that Turbo at this point just has a lot more room to grow, hypothetically speaking. I mean, we got to think about this, right? If let's say Turbo were to go to the price of 50 cents during this bull run, that right there is around a 57x from here. And at that point, market cap would be around $33 billion. So it's not too bad. We've seen like Dogecoin reach over $80 billion. So this isn't some sort of like crazy thing I'm talking about here. But on the flip side, if we take a look at something like PEPE, and don't get me wrong, I think PEPE has a very strong community. I think it's pretty unique, but it's kind of relatively matured in a sense. If you take a look at it, if PEPE on the flip side were to do around a 57x from here. Now, the reason why is because, again, Turbo at the price of 50 cents is around a 57x from here. So I'm comparing it to that. Again, if PEPE were to do that, market cap at that point would be nearly $220 billion, considering current circulating supply. So if you think about that, what is more likely to, let's say, do over a 50x during this bull run? Is it Turbo or is it PEPE? I think hands down, it's something like Turbo because, again, it's just much lower. And quite frankly, I also think it's a lot more unique. Now, not to mention, PEPE was a good pick, I think, let's say people got it in the beginning, somewhat in a sense, right? But as of right now, I think Turbo is just a lot more unique. Again, I think it's a lot more interesting. And I think it's a lot more fantastic. And the way I view it is this when it comes to Turbo. It's like the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but then PEPE is like an iPhone 15 Pro Max. There's nothing wrong with the 15 Pro Max, but it's kind of like the old model. You know what I mean? We want the new and improved thing. That's quite essentially the 16 Pro Max. The way I take a look at Turbo is that it's basically like PEPE, but then it's just a little bit better. A cooler logo. A much more interesting approach. Also on top of that, I think the community is arguably a lot more passionate. I'm not saying bigger, but I'm just saying a lot more passionate. So the way you take a look at it, again, there's nothing wrong with PEPE, but then I think Turbo is just a little bit better. You know what I mean? The way I view it is that PEPE, it's like Denny's. There's nothing wrong with Denny's. There's a lot of locations. It's good in my opinion, but you want to know something that's better? At least the way I view it is Sizzler. The way you take a look at it is that Turbo is like Sizzler. Now, there's not as many branches when it comes to Sizzler, but taste is better. I think atmosphere is a lot better. And I think that, again, it's just a much better vibe. So when it comes to Turbo, it's like Sizzler. PEPE is like Denny's. Again, there's nothing wrong with Denny's. I used to eat that a lot back in college, but come on. Sizzler is just a much better pick for me. At least that's the way to take a look at it. And that's why I think Turbo is the winner here. And again, if I could only put all my eggs into one basket, hands down, it's going to be Turbo. Much more interesting, much more unique, much more room to grow. And I think it's a no-brainer pick for me, especially during this bull run. You take a look at how they're pretty much both like frog-themed meme coins, right? That's the way to take a look at it. But then the special added ingredient when it comes to Turbo, in my opinion, is that it's a meme coin created by AI. And also the logo, it's just a little bit different, right? Again, the color, you take a look at, for instance, something like PEPE is green, nothing wrong with that, but it's very similar to like Book a Meme, for instance. But you take a look at Turbo, it's very, again, interesting. And I think it matters in the world of cryptocurrencies because some people like to think that, this is weird, who cares about this type of stuff? But as a meme coin, a project can't really like attack the angle of like an amazing use case, It's like, for instance, someone wants to draft someone in the NBA, but then they judge their ability on how good they can paint. That's not realistic. Like, it doesn't even matter at that point. So when people like to say that, oh yeah, a meme coin is supposed to have a good use case to stand out, I disagree. People expect a meme coin to have a caca use case anyways. So there needs to be a way to stand out. And that's by being unique, being interesting. And that's exactly what Turbo is. And I'm not saying, by the way, that PEPE is going to do terrible. I still think it's going to do okay. But if, let's say, I could only put all my eggs into one basket, especially as of right now, in terms of continuing to acquire from here on out, I think Turbo is just a much better pick for me. Much more interesting, much more unique. I think the fans are also very amazing. And also on top of that, it's just much lower. I'm in the world of cryptocurrencies, after all, to get hypothetical gains. There's nothing wrong, again, with PEPE, but I think that Turbo at this point is just much more enticing. At least personally, that's the way I view it. And not to mention, you take a look at how when it comes to Turbo, it's heading up there, right? Not too long ago, got listed on Binance. I mean, that's massive. You got to think about Binance has over 200 million users. So that's insane. So when people like to say that, yeah, when it comes to Turbo, it's not gaining the right attraction, it's not getting, good fan base, I disagree. And also, when it comes to Turbo, it's not like partnerships are bad or something like that. For instance, it is partners with Motorverse, and Motorverse is a subsidiary of Animoca Brands, a company that allegedly is worth in the billions of dollars, at least not too long ago. So if you take a look at it, Turbo is heading in such a positive direction. Keep in mind, Animoca, something else that's a subsidiary of it is Sandbox. And yeah, you heard that right. I'm talking about Sandbox, the metaverse. So if you take a look at Turbo, they're doing big things, getting listed in many major exchanges, having amazing partnerships, and also community, again, is A+. So I believe that I can't go wrong with this. At least that's the way I view it. And here's the thing as well. Some people like to say that, yeah, Turbo being a meme coin created by AI is not really going to benefit, it in the long term. But I disagree, because I think that the hype when it comes to AI, it's going to jump back in again in a massive way. Some of the hype did kind of disappear, but I think better days are ahead. Because think about this, right? People, they naturally love meme coins. That's a given. Also, on top of that, if let's say the hype for AI, again, kicks back in a massive way, guess what they're going to pay attention to? Something like Turbo. The way I view it is that even though Turbo isn't some sort of like AI project in a sense, like it's not something that's really focused on AI like an AOS or like a BitTensor, something like that. But again, it's just a unique name, and that's going to gain it attention. So I really like that when it comes to Turbo. It's just very different, I think, from the rest of the competition. And if you take a look at it, when it comes to people saying that, yeah, when it comes to Turbo, it's peak, it's never going to do good, all this type of stuff, because they see the price kind of having a pullback. But in my opinion, it's only expected. In the world of cryptocurrencies, things don't always just have a straight shot up like that. You know what I mean? Even if you take a look at Bitcoin, it's not like it randomly decided to go to the price of over like $60,000 randomly without any pullbacks. That's not the case. There's multiple bear markets, multiple pullbacks along the way. So I think what we're seeing as of right now is only expected. And I think that the bull run still has a ways to go. So I think what we're seeing right now is not game over yet. It's not the end of the race, because based off of history, usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. The last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April. So 18 months, again, as a worst case, is October of next year. So keep in mind, that's still around like 11 months from right now. So it's not like, historically, this is game over. No, there's still some time there. Now, I get it. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it tends to rhyme. So when it comes to Turbo, I still think that there's still more when it comes to what it can prove. Some people like to say that, yeah, it already reached its peak because it did reach a new all-time high. But I think that, again, around 6 months from right now, a year from right now, things can be very different. Because when it comes to Turbo, people like to say that, yeah, it's not going to gain enough attention because there's too many competitors, all this type of stuff. Well, granted, there's many meme coins out there, but there's not that many that are created by AI. They don't really have that niche, so to speak, right? If you take a look at Turbo, they're focused on this cool niche, which in my opinion really does give it such a special advantage. And also, people seem to think that, oh yeah, this bull run's going to be terrible, all this type of stuff. Well, if there's over 600 million crypto owners as of right now, according to Crypto.com research, I highly doubt that this bull run is going to be bad at all. Man, I think it could be so massive. So all I got to do right now is just stay patient, continue to accumulate, hold, and I just wait, because when a meme coin is this amazing, when the movement is this fantastic, even despite the price having a pullback, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to stay consistent, because I believe that around 6 months, again, to a year from right now, things could be very different. Again, Turbo at the price of 50 cents during this bull run wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gained value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.